3 gunshots went off.
Pop, 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 pop.
I was traumatized. I didn't know what was going on.
I was in shock. I didn't know what to do.
Tonight, investigators are trying to understand why a heavily armed man opened fire on a young pop star just as she finished what would become her final performance.
I mean, 2 patients, the female patient and the shooter.
Everyone knows that Christina Grimmie was murdered by an obsessed fan, but nobody understands how sick this man Kevin really was. He went to her show with a hunting knife, 2 guns, and 75 rounds of ammo. After years of obsessing over Christina and changing his appearance to attract her, I mean, quite literally, he lost 50 pounds, he got eye LASIK surgery, and hair transplants, all to win her over. But ultimately, this was a disturbing reality that Kevin created in his head. And the first chance he got to see Christina, he pulled out a gun and killed her. So let's get into it. In this video, we're going to go through all of the receipts and try to explain how a troubled man was able to access and then murder a YouTube star. This man, Kevin, was only 27 years old when he decided he was going to go to Christina Grimmie's show and then shoot her. If you guys don't know who Christina is, she is a wonderful singer who gained her fame from social media. She would post videos of herself singing on YouTube and they gained traction.
Her popular covers on YouTube amassing over 100 million views, like Justin Bieber's One Time and David Guetta's Titanium.
I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose, far away, far away.
Even though Christina was putting out amazing covers on YouTube, that wasn't exactly how she gained her fame, because she was on a singing competition show called The Voice, and while on that show, she made a reputation for herself.
She was the 22-year-old breakout star of The Voice, Christina Grimmie, blowing the judges away with her cover of Wrecking Ball in season 6 of the singing competition.
That is the moment where you realize that this person could be a huge star.
She came in third, and her career that started as a teen on YouTube seemed to be taking off.
If you guys haven't heard Christina's music before, I definitely encourage you to go and check it out because she was a wonderful singer. And unfortunately, this man, Kevin, decided that he was going to go and take her life.
Moments after this exuberant performance, a suspect they've identified as Kevin James Loibel opened fire at singer Christina Grimmie, fatally shooting her.
So let's talk a little bit about Kevin, because he's from St. Petersburg, which I was like, hold up, I was just there for 2 months, but he's from St. Petersburg, and he drove all the way to Christina's show to ultimately murder her. And since this tragedy has gone down, we have learned a little bit about who Kevin is. So we got an interview from one of Kevin's friends named Corey, and during this interview with police, he told them that Kevin grew up in a toxic household, and there was a story about his mother beating him with a frying pan and throwing dishes at him. Corey was a really good friend to Kevin, and he actually got him a job at Best Buy, which I'm like, what the hell? I also used to work at Best Buy as a child. Like, what is this story? But Corey claims that Kevin was awkward, and he moved around 8 different times within the Best Buy store to try to find him a place where he can fit in and not interact with customers, because I guess he wasn't that social or friendly. Nothing I'm sharing with you guys will ever justify what Kevin did to Christina, but I want to give you guys some background about who this guy is. Kevin's mother actually died in St. Petersburg back in 2010 due to an aspirin overdose, which was ruled accidental. But Corey told police that Kevin, who was 21 at the time, encouraged his mother to go and harm herself, and he told her, go ahead and do it. And she did it. Kevin wasn't necessarily a successful kid. I mean, he went to college in St. Petersburg for 3 years, but he dropped out in 2010, right before his mother passed away. He also was obsessed with playing World of Warcraft, an online role-playing game. And Corey shared that Kevin never showed any interest in girls until he discovered Christina. So it seems like this kid is growing up in a toxic household. He's addicted to World of Warcraft, right? That's what it's called. And now he's got an obsession with a YouTuber named Christina. After Kevin's mother passed away, his life just continued to go downhill because his father, Paul, started dating a new woman, and their relationship was extremely toxic. I mean, police were called 6 times about fights, and there were fights between Kevin and his dad's girlfriend. Supposedly, she came to Kevin's room during one of her fights with his father, and supposedly Kevin slammed the girlfriend's arm in the door. He claims he didn't see that she was following him into his bedroom, but she actually did try to call police and report it 10 days later, but nothing happened there. So all of that sucks. I mean, we can acknowledge that it sounds like Kevin's life was pretty terrible, but again, that's not enough to justify what he did. So Kevin found Christina back in 2015 on YouTube and slowly fell into an obsession. Christina was a gamer girl, and he was really attracted to that. He actually lost 50 pounds. He got LASIK eye surgery and had his teeth whitened and got hair implants. It sounds like he was trying to become the perfect guy for her in some sick way. I mean, you would hope that he just lost the weight and got LASIK just because, he wanted a better life for himself. Corey told police that he was impressed that she was a Christian, and he told me that she changed him. She helped him see the world in a different way, that if there's a God, he sees it in her. Kevin was smart and logical, according to Corey. So Corey tried to talk some sense into him, but Kevin was determined that Christina and Kevin, were soulmates. Corey claims that Kevin was immediately defensive. He brought up, you know what? Maybe you should chill out from this girl. You seem a little obsessed, and he just went off. He claims that Kevin can't even be friends with Corey after such a claim. By April 2016, Corey realized that the obsession wasn't healthy, and he actually got their boss at Best Buy involved. But it's not like Kevin was acting out at work, so what can the boss do? It wasn't long after that when Kevin's delusions started down a concrete violent path. Weeks before Christina's show, he bought a $15 ticket, he purchased 2 guns, and he waited 5 days to get those guns. Sometimes when you purchase weapons, there's a waiting period, so he had to wait 5 days for those guns to come, and he had plenty of time to rethink his plan, but he went through it, and he even drove all the way from St. Petersburg to this show to go and see her.
Typically, people who travel a long distance, in this case armed, may well have some sort of fantasy in their head relationship with the person that they ultimately end up killing. A love relationship with the person that doesn't exist.
So on Kevin's last day at working at Best Buy before the show, he actually returned some borrowed science magazines to Corey. Kevin pulled Corey aside and grabbed him by the shoulder and told him, "I love you, brother," and that he was tired and ready to ascend. So sounds like he was having some suicidal thoughts. Back at Kevin's home in St. Petersburg, he packed a Nike drawstring bag with toiletries, his new guns, a 5-inch hunting knife, and 3 boxes of bullets, totaling 75 rounds. Why would he need all of this? And he also took the hard drive out of his computer and hid it before he left.
That, according to police, he drove about 120 miles from his home in St. Petersburg to her concert in Orlando.
This guy knew exactly what he was doing, and he had everything planned down to a T. So Kevin called a cab at 1:30 p.m. on June 9th. He arrived at the Courtyard by Marriott in Orlando, and he paid a cab $200 for a round trip. So he had the idea that he would be going back to St. Petersburg, and he settled into his room. He got $16 worth of food from the hotel snack bar. The next morning, he packed all of his stuff into his backpack, and he placed it in a a safe beneath the television in the hotel room. He kept out both guns and the knife, tucking his wallet and the concert ticket into his pocket. What's really sad about this incident, I mean, well, the whole story is extremely sad, but the fact that this was Christina's last show, she was about to take a break and go home to Los Angeles to visit her family and her dog. She also had some like VIP tickets for a gaming expo, so she had so much to look forward to.
Grimmie was opening for the band Before You Exit in Orlando, Florida.
So Christina was super excited for this show. I mean, she was opening up for this band. It was her last one before break. She even posted an Instagram, a Snapchat story, encouraging fans to come and visit her.
The 22-year-old, known for finishing third on The Voice, greeting her fans on Twitter.
We're in Orlando today. Please come to the show if you live near Orlando, Florida.
So then back to Kevin, because he made his way over to the Plaza Live and he stopped by an Old Navy to buy a black hat. He got into line and there were a bunch of teenage girls and their mothers having their purse checked, but Kevin's bag wasn't checked. Once Kevin got into the venue, he picked a spot in the far corner and he kept his head down and his arms crossed. As he's watching the show, he's, digging his hands into his pockets. He's wearing this red, white, and blue flannel shirt. He's adjusting his baseball cap and he's like visibly uncomfortable. After the show ended, Kevin got in line behind dozens of fans who wanted to meet Christina. He shifted his weight back and forth, and then it was his turn.
Christina Grimmie, rising to fame on The Voice, was signing autographs when she was shot. This photo of the singer and a fan believed to be one of her last.
When Kevin approached Christina, she opened up her arms because he seemed a little bit shy, a little bit reserved, and in return, he pulled out a Glock and he fired 5 shots, hitting her 3 times. Right up on her chest.
Autographs and selfies, all while a man carrying 2 guns and a hunting knife has made his way past security.
There are no metal detectors. As far as I'm aware, the people are not patted down.
I thought he was just a nervous fan. What can you expect? You never think someone's just going to pull a gun out.
2 minutes later, authorities say the armed 27-year-old shoots Grimmie, leaving her critically wounded.
Once Kevin sent that first shot out, it caused an echo within the theater, and fans were confused. Like, what's going on here? I mean, there were balloons that were used in decorations, and some people thought that maybe the balloons were being popped.
The 4 gunshots were pop, 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 pop.
Earlier Friday night, no indication that the Orlando venue would become a crime scene.
Christina grew up in a loving household. Both of her parents were so supportive of her dreams, and she also had a brother named Mark who appeared in some of her YouTube videos, who helped her on tour, and he was there during this incident. Kevin shot his sister and Mark looked up. Then he heard 4 more shots being sent out. Mark said that he wasn't afraid. There wasn't any time for fear. It was my first instinct to tackle him, so that's what I did. And other people in the theater, they just ran and screamed and got out of there. Mark continued to scuffle with Kevin on the floor, ripping apart his flannel shirt. Mark claims that he looked at Christina on the floor, and I just remember screaming bloody murder and jumping on him and then hitting him. He wrestled the gun away from Kevin, just feet away from where his sister was lying. Somehow Kevin managed to get out of Mark's grip, and he backed up against a wall and pulled out his second gun. And then he acted like a coward and decided to kill himself because he couldn't handle what he just did. This story is so disturbing, and part of me feels like Kevin went to go and kill Christina and then himself so that they would go together into the afterworld. I mean, obviously Christina's going to heaven and he's going to hell, but I guess it doesn't really add up, because why would he go and take his own life if he paid a cab to take him home to St. Petersburg? But in that moment, Mark looked up at Kevin and he thought, this is the end. Kevin pushed the firearm to the side of his head and pulled the trigger. For a second, Mark looked around. It was like a nightmare. Everyone was gone. I was the only one there, sitting on the floor with 2 bodies. Then there was a doctor who came to the show, and he was in attendance, and he ran over and he saw the body and he said, "Oh my God, it's Christina." He bent down and she tried to take a breath. He felt a weak pulse and then lost it. He started CPR and she ultimately passed away later on into the next morning. While Mark was in this hectic moment, he actually got a call from his father, and he told him, Dad, like, and then delivered the terrible news. I can't even imagine how Mark was feeling, and his father and everyone there.
Very heroic actions by Marcus Grimmie.
Grimmie is rushed to the hospital. Overnight, the tragic news. Her publicist announcing Grimmie did not survive. Tonight, authorities searching the attacker's phone and computer for a motive.
It does appear that he came here to commit this crime.
So obviously this story is huge news. I mean, it's traumatizing and it's a nightmare for so many people. Who would ever want to go to a concert and have something like this go down? But what's interesting about this story is that, yeah, it did make headlines, but for a day, and then people stopped talking about it. That's because the next night in Orlando, in the same city, there were 49 people who were gunned down at the Pulse nightclub. 49 people. You guys may remember the Pulse nightclub. It's something that really scares me because as a gay man, like, you never know when you're going to be targeted. And then there was also a small boy who was dragged into a lake and killed by an alligator at Walt Disney World. So much happened in Orlando that weekend that, like, people stopped talking about Christina because, I mean, the Pulse nightclub is obviously extremely tragic. So everyone was covering that. As for a motive, we don't really know. I mean, we know Kevin was a sick, obsessed fan, but we don't know exactly like what was his end goal. When all this went down, Kevin's parents actually put a note on their front door because of course they didn't want to speak to the press about their son, and in their note they wrote, "Deepest sorrow for a loss to family, friends, and fans of the very talented, loving Christina Grimmie." No other comments. So I mean, I would wish that they would like take a little accountability for, you know, their son's actions, just like a little bit of accountability. But I mean, if he's like some sick bastard, it's like, I don't want to be associated with him. And ultimately, police just, you know, narrowed it down to mental health issues. The guy was sick. He was undiagnosed. He was able to go and get a weapon, and that's what happened, which it sucks that mental health can be an excuse. I mean, it's never an excuse, but it sucks that that's a reason that they give us because it's not enough. Even though Christina is gone, her legacy will continue to live on, and fans go to the theater every year to pay their respects to Christina. And I'm sure her brother is struggling, but he was strong enough to speak at her memorial services, and here's a clip of that.
She loved singing, she loved the Lord, and she loved me. And she was just my baby sister.
Christina's brother, Mark, who tried to save her life, spoke at a vigil for his sister in New Jersey, where they grew up.
Witnesses say that she was arms open wide. She had no idea, and she treated everybody the same. And it was hard for her because she was introverted.
I can't even imagine the bond that these two had because they've gone through so much, not only childhood, but then the music career. And then, you know, when you sing and you play music together with someone, you do have a bond with them. And I feel so bad for Mark, and there's probably such an empty space in his heart because of what this sick man Kevin did to his sister. And so many celebrities reacted when this news came out, and people were so upset.
Grimmie's death leaving so many performers grief-stricken. Pharrell calling it a tragic loss. Blake Shelton saying he's heartbroken. From Selena Gomez, "I miss you, Christina."
I love to see how close Christina and Selena Gomez were. I was going through like their friendship timeline on the internet. They were actually really good friends, but I want to hear what you guys think about Christina's story in the comments below. I hope there's never another Christina. Honestly, I'm actually thinking about making a video about Selena, the other Selena, because she was murdered in a very similar way. But here's my email. If you guys have any other video ideas for me, you guys sent me this idea, so I made the video. And let's go ahead and open this P.O. Box package item. I know they've been like kind of back and forth, and like it's just been hard with moving and everything, but I am getting all the items sent to me soon. So if you send me a P.O. Box package item, trust me, it is coming. So it looks like we have this package here that says PALMA on it, and then we've got a note right here. Hey Sloan, we just launched PALMA, the world's finest hand sanitizer, and love for you to try it out and let us know what you think of the new product. I hope you love it. You can learn more by checking out the QR code. Ooh, I'll link everything below. Thank you so much, Zena at PALMA, and she's the CEO. That is so sweet that you sent this to me. Let's go ahead and see what is going on here because bougie hand sanitizer. What is going on here? Bougie hand sanitizer. This looks like a Kardashian hand sanitizer. Hold up. We're going to have to check this out. So Wow. And it looks so like, wait, what is going on here? Okay, wow. The packaging, this is also really interesting, like, bottle. I think I need to open it up. Wow. And the hand sanitizer is not like clear like normal, and it smells really good. Hold up. We're gonna have to fix this one. Did anyone else get obsessed with hand sanitizer? It does not look like hand sanitizer. Oh my god. Ew. Ew. But wow, it is hand sanitizer. Oh, it smells so good. That smells like, I don't want to say citrusy because it's not. It almost has like a little bit of floral in it too. Wow, I am so impressed. This is so bougie. I can't wait to go and check out your website. I'm going to link it below. Guys, go and check it out and support a small business. This is sweet. Wow. And it's designed in LA. That's where I'm at. Anyways, I'll see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.